I'm Rick Harp. This is your APTN News Brief for Monday, April 8th. Change is once again coming to Winnipeg's downtown. The site of a shopping mall that itself once promised to revitalize the city's core will now be redeveloped into a healthcare center and affordable housing project. A public-private partnership with True North Real Estate Development, the health portion will emerge as a 300,000 square foot, 12-story building to ultimately deliver services for primary care and addictions treatment. Meanwhile, the Southern Chiefs organization have signed a letter of intent with True North to share ownership of a 15-story tower containing multifamily rental units. Located next to the health center, 40% of the tower's 200-plus suites will be designated affordable housing. Construction is expected to begin next year, to be completed by 2028. As for the healthcare center, the province intends to lease it for 35 years. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew.
I'm very proud to be here today to talk about the Healthcare Center of Excellence that is going to bring together the private sector, Indigenous governments, healthcare, tackling the homelessness issues downtown to deliver a downtown that Winnipeg and Manitoba can be proud of. This is part of shepherding the investments that people have made over the years. And so what's our government doing? We're bringing forward the political capital to unlock the financial capital so that we can build back the social capital in downtown Winnipeg and make all Manitobans proud.
A new bilateral agreement between Canada and the U.S. is now in place to help rebuild falling Chinook salmon stocks. And as Sarah Connors explains, it's a deal First Nations in the Yukon are celebrating.
Years ago, Chinook salmon were once plentiful in the Yukon River. It runs through Alaska and the Yukon and has been a source of nourishment for Indigenous people on both sides of the border for millennia. But in recent years, Chinook have been in decline. That's why the Alaska Department of Fish and Game and Fisheries and Oceans Canada signed a new Chinook salmon management agreement.
It's a great agreement. I think that it's been long waited for. It's monumental.
The new agreement places a moratorium on fishing for Yukon River Chinook for 7 years, one full life cycle of a Chinook salmon. Little Salmon Carmacks First Nation is celebrating what will be greater protections for the beloved fish. For years, Yukon First Nations have been pushing for stricter measures to protect dwindling salmon stocks.
We know that when something's depleting or going extinct, we leave it alone. We let it be. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're leaving it alone and giving it the opportunity to repopulate.
First Nations in the territory have largely chosen to refrain from harvesting so stocks can rebound. While the agreement will have little impact for First Nations who already have restrictions in place, advocates say it's a critical step in protecting the salmon.
I think that's been the rallying cry of the Yukon First Nations. We've got to put salmon first. That means put salmon above our own needs, and that's the only way we're going to save them.
The agreement does allow for some limited harvesting opportunities. It will also have a focus on research and reducing bycatch, where fisheries unintentionally catch other fish species. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
To Saskatchewan, where the James Smith Cree Nation has a new chief. It's first in 16 years. Now, of course, James Smith has been in the news a lot since its September 2022 stabbing rampage. This past February, a public inquest looked into the death of the man responsible for the killing of 11 people. And newly elected Chief Kirby Constant topped the ballot at 208 votes. Runner-up Wally Burns came in at 155. In a social media post, Constant said his commitment to his community is unwavering and that he aims to lead with integrity, inclusivity, and professionalism to ensure no one is left behind. Constant will be officially sworn in this Friday.
Hi, I'm Dennis Ward, host of Face to Face. Coming up on our next episode, I'll be sitting down with Dr. Rebecca Neckaway. We'll be discussing her career in medicine and the importance of becoming the first Indigenous Chief Medical Officer in Ontario. Tune in Tuesday on APTN or listen to the Face to Face podcast for an extended interview. Download and subscribe on your favorite player.
An estimated 30,000 people, a $530 million settlement. The core numbers behind a settlement agreed to in principle by Manitoba. Compensation to provincially funded children in care between 2005 and 2019, the period when the province forced CFS agencies to remit over $300 million intended for the care, education, and advancement of children in care. Millions Manitoba pocketed as general revenue. Elsie Flatt is a former CEO of Southern First Nations Child and Family Services Authority, a representative plaintiff in the class action. She speaks to what happens next following what's been described as a historic win for vulnerable children.
The practice of holding back the child tax benefit money, or what we call children's special allowance, this is for provincially funded children. And the First Nations agencies have two funders for children in care. The federally funded children have been able to retain their children's special allowance. The feds have never made a move to claw it back. The money is intended to provide extras for kids, things like, if a child's particularly gifted in sports, or wanting powwow lessons, or someone wanting to establish a registered education savings plan for them, those kind of extra things that would not normally be funded for those children. The settlement is made up of the principal amount, which is the actual dollars that were taken by the province, and then there's the cost of living interest adjustment on that, and then as well as what we call the charter damages. We've been calling it a resolution fund, but really it's to compensate the kids for the damages. The amount each child will get will be prorated because children are in care for different periods of time. So there may be children who have now aged out and who were in care for that full period of time, and others who might have been in care for 6 months or a year and then returned home. So when you're looking at the children's special allowance, which is between $500 and $600 a month, so that could add up to well over $100,000 for some children. And then when you add in the interest as well as the damage portion, so yes, for some children it could be significant. We are working right now on the distribution plan as well as a communication plan, setting up a website so there's a place where people can get current information and reaching out to anybody who might be in that class.
And finally, today's the day, the historic solar eclipse. And for Quebec, it's the first total solar eclipse to pass over the province in over 50 years. Maricela Amador now with an Innu astronomer on the meaning of this extraordinary phenomenon.
Excitement for the eclipse is reaching its peak. Innu astronomer Laurie Rousseau-Nipton has never witnessed a total solar eclipse. She believes it will be beyond her wildest dreams.
For most people, when there's a total solar eclipse, it's overwhelmingly strange and beautiful at the same time. It's kind of inexplicable. This is no ordinary day.
Rousseau-Nipton explained that a total solar eclipse happens at a particular time when the moon passes between the sun and the earth. As the moon blocks the sun's light, it casts a shadow on part of the earth. A total solar eclipse is rare.
Keep an eye on your surroundings, on what's happening around you. It's going to get colder, darker. We'll see shadows. We'll see the solar corona. And then it will last for a few minutes before we can see the little diamond, the moment when once again the sunlight can break through. And it will reach us, and that's when we put on our glasses.
According to some experts, First Nations culture and traditions are deeply rooted in the stars. So it is no surprise that legends about solar eclipses have been passed down through the generations.
There's a Cree legend. We have a character, Chkabesh, and Chkabesh is a legend that is widely known within First Nations. The Crees west of us, the Innu east of us, have similar stories or identical stories of Chkabesh.
Jamie Moses is from the Cree community of East Main, about 1,200 kilometers north of Montreal. He said that it was his grandfather that first told him the story of how Chikabish once snared the sun.
Well, that's a reference of some people relating to the eclipse of middle of the day, having a nighttime and middle of the day.
Moses added that he hopes for clear skies in East Main on Monday.
It's a unique moment. It's a moment we experience as a community. It's something we want to be able to observe together.
After Monday, the next time a total solar eclipse will pass over Quebec won't be until the year 2106. Maricela Amador, APTN National News, Montreal.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Monday, April 8th. I'm Rick Harp.